What's up, everybody? This is Patriot Independence. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. I am live, got a new mic. YouTube live restrictions were uplifted about a month ago, so that's always good. How the hell is everybody? Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2026. And we got Trump going live tonight. Yeah, but on a lighter note, I'm live, so it's all good, man. So tonight, Trump is saying that he wants to expose election fraud and what happened in the 2020 election, and there's a lot of talk about China and a lot of stuff that came out of China. Now, I'm wondering if maybe that is the reason why Trump went to China about a month ago. Real quick, I'm going to let the chat populate. Let me know how the audio sounds. I'm running a new interface, new microphone. So just let me know how everything sounds. So I think tonight it could just be a nothing burger, like a lot of his other press conferences have been. So I'm gonna be checking the live feed periodically just to make sure he's not live, because sometimes he'll go late. So he says, "Oh, 9 p.m. Eastern," and it's like 9:30, and the guy still hasn't gone live yet. But what do you guys think is going to be said tonight? Oh, the 2020 election was stolen, and I think it's going to be a lot of that. It's like you got all this proof, but will there be results? Will there be results of prosecutions? Will there be results of indictments? All of it. I mean, that's what we want. Like, we already know the stuff is there. Where is the accountability? So, had a couple of things to talk about before he goes live. So apparently, the current DNI and the guy named, so you got John Solomon and Bill Plute, have been compiling the election fraud information. They're the ones that are trying to push for it to go out. They gave Trump all the information, and the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, and the mainstream media, they're all against it. They don't want it to come out. So I would say that if this all starts coming out, and if they do like this one, his name was Wayne Allen Root, was talking about doing like a national emergency like they did with the wall for the border wall. I would say between now and midterms, we could probably see like the Summer of Love riots on steroids. You see what I'm saying? Because it's weird that the CIA does not want this stuff to come out. And then now you got China implicated in it. Iran's implicated in it. China makes the chips. That's all been proven. They made the chips. Then they send the chips to Taiwan. Taiwan makes the machines. And then the machines get shipped to Venezuela. Could that be why we've seen the Venezuela operation? And then you had Tulsi Gabbard. She got all the election fraud information before she got booted out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in play. Me personally, I have my beefs with Trump. But I'm going to tell you this. I would be shocked if we see stuff tonight and then we start seeing action and accountability. I would be shocked. That's just my honest opinion. I don't know how you feel. Up there he is. Hold on.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'm proud to report that our country is safer, stronger, and far wealthier than it has ever been before. We are doing great. Less than 2 years ago, we inherited an economic and social disaster.
We are not wealthy.
After the worst inflation in 48 years, the wide open borders with millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, including criminals of all types, and 11,888 murderers, many of whom killed more than one person. We had transgender for everybody, men and women sports.
It's still happening.
Crime ravaging our cities, and the whole world was laughing at us as a nation, but not anymore. 2 years ago, our country was dead.
Okay.
Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. America
it's
is
hot.
respected
It was
like
over
we have
100
never
today.
been respected before. We have more money being invested in the United States than at any time in the history of our country. More Americans are working today.
Please tell me this isn't another traditional Trump speech. Oh, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Please tell me we get more than just this shit.
And we accept it. The best in 6 years. The tax cuts in our great, big, beautiful bill are saving hardworking families thousands and thousands of dollars, like with the provisions, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Unless you live in a CIA-captured state like Virginia, and we don't see any of those tax cuts and all those benefits because we have a communist governor.
Creating businesses. Our stock markets are at their highest point in many years, but we can actually say of all time. And your 401ks, pensions, and retirement accounts are setting records every single day, the highest in history. For years, we
We don't
paid
care
the
about the stock
highest
market.
price for prescription drugs anywhere in the world. Now we pay the lowest price under my most favored nation's policy, because I was able to get the rest of the world and the pharmaceutical companies to act responsibly. Drug prices are coming down by 70, 80, and 90%. TrumpRx.gov, this will ultimately reduce the cost of health care. You have to.
I like how he keeps talking about the stock market. All these people, you had Pam Bondi talk about the stock market. But let's be real. How many average Americans are benefiting from having money in the stock market? I sure as hell ain't. I know a lot of people aren't benefiting from having money in the stock market. So what does that matter? What matters is if the cost of housing comes down, the cost of living comes down, and it hasn't.
Of thousands of dollars in their account, and they'll get off to a great start in life. So for that, go to TrumpAccounts.gov and sign up your child or any child who'd like to sign up.
Oh,
Our previously wide open border.
and by the way, unless you guys read the fine print, those Trump accounts, they go based off of the stock market. So if you put all this money into these Trump accounts and let's say we see a stock market crash, you lose everything. It's in the fine print. And a lot of people don't realize that. And a lot of these paid influencers, they're not telling you that. If the stock market does not do good, those Trump accounts don't mean crap. I'm sorry.
And we have the strongest and most powerful military by far anywhere in the world. I built it during my first term, and unfortunately, we're forced to
Then what
use it
happened
now.
with Iran?
We won in Venezuela, which is now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are likewise winning big in Iran, and you will see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly. America is back and doing really well, but we still have a major challenge that must be urgently addressed, because no country can be great without fair and honest elections. You
Well, let's hear
have
it.
to trust
And what's
your
the
country,
plan?
because if there can be no trust, there can be no greatness. And that's very simple. No trust, no greatness. For many years, I've called for bold, swift, and decisive action to protect the integrity of America's elections. Every American deserves to know that when they cast their vote, that vote will be counted accurately in a system and that is to make that system secure.
But what is going to
One
be
where
done about
cheating
it?
and interference are not just difficult, but virtually impossible. Unfortunately, the
Yeah,
system
back
we
to
have
the Great
today
Depression.
falls catastrophically short of that standard. Tonight, I'm announcing the immediate declassification and release of critical intelligence revealing shocking vulnerabilities in our election infrastructure. This evidence shows that the election system we have
Just like you
dangerously
declassified JFK, declassified
really
some of the
exposes,
Epstein stuff,
like,
and
levels
nothing
never thought
happened.
possible, to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference. Just as disturbingly, this vital information has for many years been covered up and hidden from you, the American people, our beautiful, our great American people. But that all changes right now. The documents we will release starting tonight have been gathered by the White House Government Transparency Task Force, a great group of people, along with the staff of the President's Intelligence.
By the way, guys, drop some
Advisory
ones in the
Board,
chat if the audio
supported
sounds
by
good.
our
It
top
sounds good in my
intelligence
headset,
agency chiefs,
but does it sound
who have all
good to you?
personally reviewed the findings we are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly. And that's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China assigned a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project. Compounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people.
The CIA, remember I was telling you at the beginning of the stream, they did not want this press conference to happen.
About the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration files in 2020 when they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country. A standard, very pat line that was divvied out.
Yeah, Bushcraft, you're absolutely correct. And there are a couple of mainstream news outlets that are not even covering this right now.
Other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Isn't that nice? Also, in mid 2018, China was working to influence the results of the U.S. midterm elections and later the results of the 2020 presidential election itself. Separately, in mid-2019, the Chinese government's strategy against the United States was focused on undermining domestic confidence in the U.S. president. They wanted to just make you sound like your president wasn't so hot, when actually your president has done a great job, and they did everything possible to do exactly that. Going on, this document says, and this is by the CIA, the strategy included efforts to use Chinese contacts with big U.S. companies to influence U.S. business leaders to turn against the President of the United States of America. The Chinese government.
So no wonder the CIA doesn't want it getting out. They were colluding with China.
And pay them large sums of money to write more negative articles about him, as many as they could, and they didn't care what they said. The Chinese government wanted U.S. president to lose the next election, and the reason they wanted me to lose is because they knew I was wise to them, charged them billions and billions of dollars worth of tariffs, and built the strongest military anywhere in the world. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world. These are exact quotes from the CIA reporting. The name of the person doing the quote is now under review, but it gets even worse. Raw intelligence obtained by the FBI in 2020, yet buried by rogue bureaucrats, stated that China's activities even included an attempt to manufacture.
But Iran, though? Yeah, right. Yeah.
Documents show that during this period, dozens of significant CIA and NSA reports about China's election targeting were kept out of the presidential briefing. These were briefings I would get almost every day. Everything was kept out that was of importance. One email among intelligence analysts admitted that they had, quote, deliberately massaged the presidential daily briefing to withhold information regarding Chinese activities related to the election.
Absolutely, bushcraft. And my thing is, if they use this to institute the national security emergency, the same thing they did to get funding for the border wall. You remember, like, back then, the Democrats were trying to fight them, wouldn't fund it. So they instituted the national security emergency. He could do the same thing with the midterms because of this foreign influence. He could do the same thing. And my honest opinion, with you got the CIA acting like this, mainstream media is acting like they're acting. You got liberals fomenting right now because of this, because of what might possibly happen with the midterms. I would say stay on your toes, boys. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep on prepping, and just keep your head on a swivel is all I can say.
Incompetence of the people that was supposed to burn the bags. But the findings are stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges, if appropriate, against these people. Yet concealing China's meddling was only the beginning. The third set of documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure,
we all knew this,
including electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems. Dishonest, almost all. They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups,
Venezuela,
have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it? Made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases.
My thing is, yeah, this is stuff that we already knew. We knew the elections were rigged. People were selected. They were not elected. But what's going to be done about it? And the next couple of months will be telling. You got all this stuff coming out, but what's going to happen with it?
Tonight we're releasing all of those findings, and spanning from January 2020 to June 2026. This is a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy. Many people have questioned whether it could actually be possible to electronically manipulate vote totals or change election results on these terrible machines. Today we are releasing documents.
Tina Peters has the receipts for it, and she was rotting in prison because of it.
Do a big number in favor of the corrupt Maduro regime in Venezuela, and that's exactly what happened, conspiring to digitally rig their own country's elections in 2020, and that's what they did. This reporting included precise details about methods to regime develop to digitally alter vote totals in ways that could not be detected even with an audit, no matter how deep they went. This intelligence underscores why we must take urgent action to ensure that our own system can never, ever be hacked or compromised like it was in the past. The fourth set of documents reveals that even when significant evidence of fraud has been detected, it has been buried and covered up. Among the disclosures tonight are FBI files detailing evidence of alleged fraud by a large-scale voter registration operation in Michigan. In 2020, Michigan State Police raided a Democrat Get Out the Vote organization, corrupt group in Muskegon. And we're so concerned by what they found. They were just so concerned, they couldn't believe it, actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated and to work with the Department of Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes. Finally, to reveal just how vulnerable our elections continue to be, we are releasing the results of a stunning investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review, state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls, and yet we still have elections with no voter ID, no proof of citizenship, and tens of millions of ballots floating aimlessly through the mail. As one example of the insanity, California's recent election for mayor of LA and governor was held on June 2nd, a long time ago, but it was just completed a few days ago on July 10th. Think of that. Much
Shout out Spencer Pratt.
took a month to count the votes. I wonder what they were doing. This is worse than any third world country. There's no third world country that has elections like we have. In a rare move, NBC and ABC Fake News have both said that they would not cover this speech. They knew what it was about because of the fact that they don't like the topic, because they know how corrupt our system is and they don't want to reveal it. They and others in the media are part of a plot. They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses. They use our public multi-billion-dollar in value airways for absolutely no money. They pay nothing. All we want is honesty in our elections and honesty in reporting. They pay nothing for multi-billion-dollar assets. Great damage has been done to our country. Our elections were...
You nailed it, Bushcraft. Just like England, millions must go. Deport them all, revoke H-1B visas, close our borders for 100% for at least a decade, bring our troops home to defend our borders first. Amen. But at the same time, will we get that? Because now they're saying because of this recent shooting, there's going to be even less deportations, even less ICE activity now. So I don't know, man. One could hope.
A cause. We should be united, not divided. In light of the brand new and irrefutable information I have revealed tonight, my administration is in the process of notifying the states whose election data was compromised by the People's Republic of China and many others. We will be working.
Does this mean overturn election results in these states? What about Virginia? Virtus Media, did you hear that, brother?
Watch a stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work.
I see what you said, but I can't say that on stream.
Vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of informing governors, senators, and members of Congress of potential issues in this.
The question, though, I'm going to pause it real quick. So he said they're going to notify governors and senators of the election fraud stuff, right? But what if the elected governor benefited from that fraud? Like in Virginia, for example, a lot of people in this state, we all know that Scamberger did not win that election fair and square. There was so much fraud that was proven that came out of Fairfax County alone, and nothing was ever done about it. So I mean, you can notify them all you want, but if they're a part of the problem, nothing's going to be done about it.
It's in such bad shape in so many states, and we are committing to fix it. And we're also committing to be working with those states and local jurisdictions to help them fix and patch known technical vulnerabilities before the midterm elections. We have very important elections coming up. We want those elections to be honest. I've also ordered DHS to notify every state about non-citizens on their voter rolls and direct them to remove all
you're good, man. No worries.
But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act.
It'll never happen.
How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat.
And there's reports now saying that even if the SAVE Act is passed, it will never be able to come into fruition for anything good by the time the midterms get here, because it'll be stonewalled and held up in court, and all these states and these judicial areas, they'll put pauses on everything. It'll never happen now. So even if they do pass it, it won't matter.
Because your policies are so bad and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected any other way. This landmark bill requires that all voters must show photo voter ID. How simple is that? Could I have your photo, please? Photo voter ID. All voters must provide proof of citizenship. Are you a citizen of our country, please? And hopefully there will be no corrupt mail-in ballots, which if you watched California and so many other places, mail-in ballots are inherently corrupt. So you would have no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military deployment, or travel if you're going away on business or vacation. These reforms are urgently needed to stop the vulnerabilities that I've mentioned. To all Americans, I ask you to pick up your phone tomorrow.
Now watch all the numbers for those qualifications, like being sick or traveling, stuff like that. Those numbers, if this does go through, those numbers are going to skyrocket. You watch what I tell you. There should be no mail-in ballots at all. If you want to vote, get a paper ballot at the polling location, show your ID, and vote right then and there. No mail-in ballots, none at all. No exceptions. That's just my opinion.
I'll call your representatives in the House and Senate and demand that they pass the Save America Act without delay. Together we will restore faith and confidence in our country, and we will be bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our great military, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
So, kind of what I thought it would be, kind of a nothing burger, stuff we knew. My thing is that he's talking about pass the Save America Act. That should have been passed months ago. All right. They're not worried about the Save Act. They're not worried about that. But the thing that I don't like is that how you've got politicians that are more worried about pushing the National Defense Authorization Act through and having the provisions in there to merge our military with It's Not Real's military. I can't even say the name of the place on stream without being shadow banned. But you can read between the lines, It's Not Real. They'll vote to put that through the House. Yeah, it's dead in the Senate, but that's only because Democrats actually grew a backbone for once. But that doesn't mean that this is like an endorsement for Democrats. No. I will never vote for a Democrat, ever. I would rather not vote at all than vote for a Democrat. But my whole thing is that they've had all this time to pass the SAVE Act and do something about the fraud that we all know exists in our election system, and they keep kicking the can down the road. Why? Because I think that there are politicians on both sides, Republicans and Democrats, we all know they benefit from it. It's not just one side, they all benefit from it. So why would they in something that they benefit from, and then if there's actually an honest election, they could be out? Why would they put that through? But there's a couple of things on X that I wanted to show you guys. So you got the next thing was let's see, let me pull it up. So this is the thing I was telling you guys about, how there's been reports that they wanted to do the national security emergency, the same thing they use for the border wall. And this is Wayne Allen Root. He says, you can't challenge a national security emergency by a president. This is the holy grail. The Democrats can't stop it, and they're going to panic, which would they're already panicking right now. The response from this press conference that before he gave this press conference, I mean, you got some mainstream media, they weren't even covering it. The response tells you everything. They're panicked about it.
Well, you heard what one of them said at the beginning of your show. I wasn't sure who it was that said it, but one of those big Democrats that's panicking said that they're ready, standing by with thousands of lawyers all over the country, ready to jump at a moment's notice and file lawsuits. And that's the Democrat way. That's
what I was just explaining to you guys. It does not matter if they pass the SAVE Act now, because they've got all these lawyers, and it'll be tied up in court, and it will never come to fruition to have any meaningful effect for the midterms at all. None. Because they will tie it up in court with injunctions and everything.
what they do. It's about filing lawsuits to stall it. And this is why I came up with this idea with help from my good friend John Goodman, my election integrity expert for both me and Steve Stern. He's a great guy, he's a brilliant guy, and he's a researcher. And I had him research, and I made sure that a national security emergency is not a typical EO, executive order. It's a completely different animal, Steve, and you can't take it to court. I'm sure they're going to try, but the Supreme Court ruled in 1983 the only way to beat it, to overturn it, a presidential national security emergency, the only way is to have 2/3 of both houses of Congress vote against it. You know, that's the only way to overturn it. And they're going to be shocked when they find out this isn't an EO. It's not Congress passing the Save America Act, which everyone seems to think is the be-all and end-all. And I've said from day one, it's not. I love it. I wish they could pass it. It's pathetic, and it's embarrassing, and it's humiliating, and it's backstabbing, and it's treason that Republicans aren't passing the Save America Act. But it was never going to work anyway unless you passed it at least a year to a year and a half ago. So there would be time for all the legal challenges and each step of each federal appeals court.
And if you get this one thing in your head, and it'll all make sense. It's all by design. Nothing ever happens without a reason behind it when it comes to government and these politicians.
And then the Supreme Court with a final ruling. This is the way to bypass Congress. You don't need Congress, and you can't file legal challenges. Only 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. And I'm telling you, Steve, they're not going to get there. So this is how Trump destroys them, and this is how we win the midterm. And I'm very proud that people like me and Peter Tickton and John Goodman have come up with this idea. I'm telling you, this is the holy grail. It's foolproof. They can't stop it, and they're going to panic. They're going to be hysterical when they realize there's nothing they can do. And I came up with it in 2019 for a national security.
Yeah, mail-in ballots for deployed active duty personnel only. Right, absolutely. But all this other stuff for mail-in ballots, nah, man. Like, oh, you're sick and you can't go vote, so give me a mail-in ballot. You know how many people are going to turn up sick on election day? You know, yeah, I agree with that. The mail-in ballots for active duty personnel that are overseas, they can't be at a polling location. So yeah, I get that. But I'm referring to the, oh, I'm sick, I can't make it to the polling location, I got a fever. Like, come on, man. You know how, and that was the point. That was the point I was making was, do you know how much those numbers are going to skyrocket if that provision is put in place for things like that? It's crazy, man.
Mercy for the border to bypass Congress, and Trump could grab the money from the Pentagon and spend the money to build the wall. He did it. They never challenged it because they knew what I know. You can't challenge a national security emergency by a president. Only a 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress. When they realize this, that we've got them.
And see, and they could actually do this. What he's talking about, they could do this, and it could work. because it worked when they did it to get funding for the border wall with the threat of the invasion of the country, right? Which that was happening. Okay, now you got what Trump just came out on his press conference and said is that you got foreign countries that are literally hacking and stealing our elections. That's national security. Like, that's a threat to our national security. So why wouldn't you implement this? And they could get away with it too, just like they did with the border wall funding. But my thing is, what happens to China now that he came out and he said all this stuff, but China was behind this, and then you got Venezuela and all these other countries, and you got Iran. What happens to them? I don't think we should go to war at them over it by any means, but I would seriously consider starting to wean our dependency away from China and start putting industry and manufacturing. I mean, you guys realize how many of our medications come from China? A lot of the stuff for your multivitamins, a lot of that is all manufactured in China. That's what I would do. That's just me. Cut them off where it would hurt them the most, right in their pocketbook.
Boxed in. They're going to have a conniption fit, and they're going to lose their minds. Unfortunately, they'll probably be rioting and looting and burning all across America. They'll probably burn every city down. But they're going to not get their way on this one as long as Trump declares a national security emergency. And I think it'll start tonight. I don't think he'll declare it tonight, but he'll lay out the case tonight. He'll start to do it. And little by little, by the end of August, by the beginning of September, he'll declare the national security emergency. And boy, are Democrats in for a nightmare and a shock of a lifetime.
Yep. I think if the SAVE Act does one, I would say one more round of being killed on the floor, I would say then I'm going to probably say within a week of that, Trump is going to come out with another press conference declaring the national emergency, and that's when you're going to start seeing riots, protesting. That's when all the deep state stuff is going to activate, and then we're all along for the ride at that point. Now, this next video details where the votes were coming, like where these votes were coming from, how many votes were coming out of locations. It exposes all of it, and it's a lot. Almost every single one of them came from China. Let's check this out.
This also came and there are thousands of pages of the documented footprints, the foreign intrusion into our elections. We see this is coming from China, in many cases from Huawei, from Alibaba Cloud Service, from China Unicom, from uCloud, from China Mobile Titong. This also came and from Iran as well. But this is the foreign intrusion. This is the theft of our vote. But it also is documenting exactly the vote totals that were stolen from Donald Trump. What you're watching
It was a lot.
Is that every line on that drawing, all those moving lines, they represent the IP addresses of what I just showed you on the chart. So when you understand the hacker's IP address and the IP address of the target and the votes that were stolen, every one of those lines that you're watching move across the chart and showing whether they were successful and how many votes they stole, that documents that. Every red line, as they turn red, as they finish stealing the vote, basically, the red lines are all China. So what you're seeing are the actual files being received and sent. That's a documentation of the real-time theft of our elections.
Wow.
So every line on the map, there's a corresponding line on the sheet. And the color and the line types represent the severity of the attack. Now, red has been the most severe attacks. Those lines are all coming out of China.
Yeah, China.
Those are the most severe attacks on our election system.
Wow.
Now, this exact information, the same exact type of information, I should say, was presented to former FBI Director James Comey.
Now, Think about it like this too. They're doing this by hacking into our systems, right? How many of them are already here within our government? Like Mitch McConnell's wife, for example. All that happened with Mitch McConnell, and then all of a sudden she's on a plane back to China. You know what I mean? Like how many of these CIA communist, or I mean not CIA, communist Chinese agents are implanted into our country as foreign assets in our country, within our government, within all of our systems. And it's not just China. You've got, it's not real foreign assets. You've got Iranian assets, Russian assets. I mean, there's so many foreign assets implanted within our government. The whole thing is corrupt to its core. And I don't even know if I can say on a live stream what I think needs to happen. I mean, it's a 1776 movement. That's what it needs. You need a full-blown political, like, you need to vote out every single one of those people and get them all out, and then put all new people in. And then the people that get put in, they need to have a proven track record. That's just what I think. It's been going on for decades. A lot of them are birthright citizens. It's very well planned out. Yes. Yeah, then you got a lot of dual citizens where they got citizenship in another country, and then they got citizenship here, and then they can run in our elections, become congressmen, become senators, and they, while they're in there and they're in these positions of power, they're doing everything they can to benefit the other country that they have citizenship with. And that's a major problem. Major problem.
By a whistleblower in 2015. They knew, in fact, that our election machines were open for hacking. It's important to understand that there are prismatic scoring algorithms that they knew about that enter the election, and they steal the vote at the transfer points. So at the point where the vote is leaving the Secretary of State's office and these machines, that is the point at which the vote is stolen at the transfer points. That's what you're watching. Those packets moving
and that's a lot.
That's real-time documentation of the theft of the vote from inside this country. And then the numbers, the last column, those document exactly the numbers of votes. It shows, in some of the cases, Antrim County, where the vote was stolen, and exactly the vote stolen at the exact time stamp of when they were stolen, and the numbers stolen at that point.
So, Mary, so what you're saying, Hal, is, and this is what I already know, but I'm learning a lot here as we go. What you're saying, every one of these lines, let's say we did take Antrim County, and we took that, we could pull out the timestamps for that county, and we could show the lines, the country that did it. We could show a line for every single hack or attack that we had in this election.
That's right. Wow. So what you're watching is those objects moving are the actual files that are being received and sent.
These are the squares here that are being sent. So everybody out there, what you're looking at, I mean, this is the proof.
Wow. So, yeah, I think we need a complete overhaul. But that's just my opinion. But will we get it? I don't know. I mean, there's been so much that we've gotten exposed that has been exposed with things. I mean, look at the Jeffy Epi stuff, you know, all that, all those names, all those conspirators, and not one person got indicted. So, I mean, yeah, you can expose it all, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't hold the people that done it accountable. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of gets a lot of people like me. Like, I'm a 3-time Trump voter, voted for him 3 times, supported Republicans, and you know, voted for every election. But I'm actually considering if we don't see radical change, I don't think I can vote in the midterms. I honestly don't. That's just me. I mean, you're free to do what you want to do, but we need to see radical change. Oh, and by the way, speaking of radical change and not voting these midterms, because I would never vote for a Democrat. I'm sorry. I don't care how good they seem they are. There's a lot of independents in the state of Virginia that voted for Abigail Scamberger, and she got her name Scamberger for a reason, because people like me, we all knew that she was a far left radical running as a middle of the road moderate. And in a lot of the independents in the state of Virginia, some of these independents fell for it and they voted for her. And now they're seeing and realizing that we were right. She was not a middle of the road moderate. She was a far left liberal communist. I mean, it's pretty bad when there's tax cuts and tax incentives that were handed down by the president, and now the state of Virginia won't even recognize them. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, all right, folks. So we got Virtus Media on the line, and apparently got some breaking news. So apparently Trump pretty much just dropped the whole bag of everything. So I'm gonna let Virtus Media explain it. So go ahead.
So I'm monitoring everything social media wise, and right now, they had dropped a website. It's called. I sent it to Patriot Independence. He can tell you all about it, but it's dropped all the files on everything. Alex Jones is talking with Patrick Byrne, and he said Michael Flynn just called for the arrest of a bunch of people in the CIA. It is busted everything wide open. So everybody can go to that once Patriot Independence shares with you guys.
Okay.
But I'm helping him out and looking at a bunch of 5 different feeds. I got 2 phones, TV, and 3 computers going with all kinds of stuff on it.
So
But that website just dropped, and it's a bunch of information on everything on the elections.
So the possibility of a false flag attack just went up exponentially then, right?
Exponentially. This thing is just absolutely groundbreaking. It is unreal.
Wow.
Yes.
So releases, Trump administration unleashes global campaign to crush radical left terrorism. But that's not the election stuff, right?
No, I sent you a link to the website. I just put the website on my phone, and I just send it directly to you on text.
Okay.
Let me get off here.
It's
I'll talk to you guys later.
Gotcha. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to pull this up, see if we can see any of this stuff. But it's not pulling up. So let me pull up. Hold on a minute. Let me pull up Alex's site. I mean, he might have something on there right now. On the breaking news tab. Let's see. News. Nope. Nothing on that yet. I mean, I've got the link here. I'm going to take and I'm going to share the link to my X account, and I'm going to pull it up. Sorry, guys, I'm doing all this live. But I want to pull that site up so that way I can show you. because that's crazy. He dropped everything, and they're calling for, so they're calling for members of the CIA and people that are within the government to be arrested. Holy crap, man. But will it happen though? That's the thing. Like, we've heard this stuff before, and I don't like to be like sound like a doomer or anything, but I want to see results, man. Like, I want to see perp walks. I don't know about you guys, but I want to see people arrested for the crimes that they've committed. If people like me or you or anybody else, if we commit these kinds of crimes, we're locked up. They lock us up, and good luck getting out. But when they do it, nothing happens. And then that's like people like me, I want to see results. I want to see people perp walked. Hold people accountable. Enough with this crap, man. So he calls for people to be arrested, but I mean, let's see if we get some arrests. So I just shared the thing here. So here's the site. It's the election integrity one. So that was his address. Oh wow, it's a lot of stuff here. So this is just a transcript of what he just said on his address, because I recognize a lot of those bullet points there. All right. China's. So if it's like I said before, what happens with China? Is anything going to happen to China? I mean, they dropped all the proof. Vulnerabilities in electronic voting and ballot counting systems, China's acquisition and exploitation of American voting data, Michigan voter registration investigation, non-citizens on state voter rolls. I mean, apparently they dropped it all. Dropped the whole bag on them. I'm going to see if any of that stuff is on X, because I don't like downloading stuff from government sites. I've always been weird like that. But once I find this stuff, I will share it out. And I'm going to try to start doing a lot. Like, I'm going to try to at least do one live stream a week. Okay. And then throughout the week, I'm going to try to do like a little short video here and there. But be ready for at least one live stream a week. I'm going to try to, it's on X all over it. Okay. Are you talking about the zip files, Vertus? The actual files itself? But I do want one thing. We got to be careful with what we see. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. President Trump newly declassified, and I hate even trying to read something from Benny Johnson, but this is official stuff here. Like, you can't fake that stuff. Pull up Alex. Gotcha.
So it has the connotation of a one-punch knockout.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is Patrick Burns. I think he's former CIA, right, Vertus?
A sucker punch and a one-punch knockout is the assassin's mace. And since about 0405, they've been referring to the assassin's mace to take down the United.
Yeah, Bushcraft. I actually made a couple little short videos. This was probably about a month ago. It was right after my upload restrictions were lifted. So I was reason why I was gone for a while. It's why, like, at the beginning of the video of the stream, I was like, yeah, your eyes are not deceiving you. I am live again. So what happened was I made a video. It was, I think it was either a live stream or a video. Anyway, it pretty much exposed how the Republicans were pretty much betraying the voters, and they voted for the funding of transgender stuff, and it's not real funding, and we, the American people weren't getting anything. And some people, I guess, didn't like it. They didn't like the way I reported on it and the things that I was showing, which was nothing bad. I mean, you could go on X and pull this stuff up all day, every day. It wasn't bad, didn't violate terms of service, but they gave me I think it was like a 2 or 3 month upload restriction where I couldn't upload anything, couldn't go live, couldn't upload anything. So I had to take a break from it. Didn't have a choice. But now everything's good. So I'm going to try to start doing at least a live stream every week, and then do little short videos here, video there, stuff like that. But the Patrick Burns guy, I'm pretty sure he's former CIA.
The major shareholders are Iran and China. So what we've done to Iran had coming. This is the greatest act of war since 1776, frankly. There's never been.
Well, regardless, what Trump just did is historic. Can you speak to that in closing?
Oh, yeah. What Trump just did by exposing this.
Patrick, you have the floor here. Recap why this is historic and these documents, and then let's go into it.
We almost lost the country. And because of this, what happened in 2020, it was rigged. And we almost lost the country. And frankly, if Trump hadn't been quite a mensch to stand up to this, I'm sure along the way they made him deals that said, look, if you just go quiet or you slip off to Saudi Arabia or something, we're not going to touch you. And instead he fought. He fought for us. He fought for the country. He dodged a bullet, literally. And by releasing all this, Flynn has taught me this. Information, the truth, is the greatest weapon of all. If you can expose the truth, then you just let the truth be your broom and sweep up your enemy. You don't have to, so the him exposing this truth.
Okay, we'll come back to that. I just got info on the information about the election integrity. So we got the complete report on the stolen 2020 election from Mike Lindell and Election Crime Bureau, 799 pages, 824 findings, 2,517 plus citations from court records, government documents, sworn testimony, and technical forensics. It's time to take back this country, flush out these traitors, and secure our elections. Holy crap, dude. This is a 30-minute... I'm not going to be able to have time to go over this all in one stream. Wow. So, an attack upon U.S. critical infrastructure. Wow. I mean, it goes over everything on here. So, wait a minute. Question, Bertus. The video right now with the Election Crime Bureau and the Eagle in the top left corner, is this what Trump just dropped? Because the post here, it says complete report on the stolen 2020 election from Mike Lindell. So is this what we've seen before with what Mike Lindell put out? Because I know he put a lot of stuff out, and I've seen a lot of stuff that Mike Lindell put out. Or is this what Trump dropped on that website, on the whitehouse.gov website? Because if that's the case, then this is all new. And then that means there's new stuff and new information about what happened and where it all came from. So what this does, though, it solidifies and vindicates every person like me, like you, like everybody who had that feeling and we said that the election was stolen. Everybody that said the election was stolen, there was obvious fraud. Everyone has been vindicated. And now we just need to see what's going to happen with it. Are we going to see perp walks? Are the people involved going to be held accountable? That's what I want to see. We could have all the information, but it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't mean anything if we can see it, but then nothing happens and these people literally get away with it. Like all the fraud, all the taxpayer fraud. Look at all the stuff that Doge was exposing in the beginning, and nothing ever happened about it. And that's what pissed me off. That's what pissed a lot of people off. So hopefully, maybe Trump can redeem himself a little bit here. I mean, and start, and secure the elections, end the electronic shit, and hold these people accountable. And then Trump could actually start to redeem himself a little bit. Get out of the foreign wars and stop funding the foreign wars. Get out of Iran and worry about the domestic agenda. Enough with the foreign agenda. We got a lot of problems in our country, guys, and we got to get it fixed. YouTube is censoring your comments. Yeah, I know here lately, like if you say anything like anything like revolution or anything like that, it instantly censors it for some reason, which we all know why. But you say anything about it's not real, that state conspiracy theorists are now super geniuses. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like we've all been vindicated now. It's like now there's all this proof that the election was in fact stolen. We were right. We weren't crazy seeing the irregularities that we seen. Remember the whole F curve where it went up and went this way, and it was like a perfect F, and everybody said it was a F for fraud. It's like they did it blatantly in your face. Well, now we're vindicated. Oh, wasn't anything remotely on those lines? Oh, hell. Yeah, I know they've been getting kind of censory and shadow banny with things like that. And see, and I have my chat open. Like I don't have it to where there's any type of, the only thing I have set is where somebody can't come in and like mass spam links, like spam and stuff. I have that set, but I usually got my live chat set up to where it's usually, you could freely say what you want on my end. Trying to behave for your sake. I don't think it won't affect me, and I'm not gonna mute you or anything. So it's just YouTube won't allow it to go through. And see, I've got all my stuff set open except for like spam and stuff. That stuff won't come through, but usually anything else is like fair game. But whatever they think might be considered hate speech or stuff like that, then they won't let it go through. That's just a YouTube thing. But yeah, this is crazy. This is a lot of stuff, man. Over 2,000 and it was 2,500 indictments and like 800 pages. Yeah, 800 pages. So this is the thing. This is talking about the master encryption keys. How you remember how before even Tina Peters exposed that, where they have these election officials, they would have these special keys and it would allow them to actually go into it. They'd plug into like a USB stick and they called it the encryption keys. They plug in these USB sticks and it would allow them to go in there and they could literally manipulate the vote the way they wanted it. It was a huge operation, and it's all coming out. I mean, they did say, and I will say this, that we're in the age of disclosure. I mean, we're finding out a lot of stuff here the past couple years about things, things that, solidifies that maybe these conspiracy theorists were not such conspiracy theorists after all. It's like a good friend of mine says, I'm running all out of conspiracy theories because they're all coming true. This is crazy, man. I mean, there's Colorado, Wisconsin. Hold on, what was the other states? Georgia, Arizona, Pennsylvania. And then I know Virginia's in there because in the because that was about the electronic voting machines and stuff. And I know Virginia's in there because Northern Virginia has them everywhere. And that was in the governor's race and in the yes or no vote for the redistricting. There was so much. I'll put it to you this way, guys. There was this one report that they did. There was more mail-in votes than there were registered voters for one little small pocket of like the Northern Virginia, Alexandria, Fairfax area. It was like this little pocket. There was more mail-in ballots that came out of that little area of that county than there was registered voters. And everybody called it out. Everybody tried to expose it. You know, people like me were sending it to the Ben Klein and all the congressmen and all this stuff, and nobody did nothing. Nobody did anything. People were tagging people like Ben Klein and all of them. We were tagging them on X with all the information, and nobody did anything. And Abigail Spanberger just went right on in, and now you're seeing what she's put the state of Virginia through. Yeah, this is crazy. I'm going to have to go through with some of this stuff, look through, skim through it, and try to do a video on if I find some key things in here, because that's just crazy. That's a lot.
.com, our mothership. And
can't play that copyrighted music. I'll wait till he comes back. But see, now that you've got all these people, you've got people within the administration calling for CIA, they're calling for CIA officials and people within the government to be arrested. Okay? We all know the CIA, when you start making threats on the CIA and the deep state, that's when crazy what starts happening. All right? So that's what I want to know is, are we in the age, like, in my opinion, I think the possibility of a false flag is so ripe right now because of all this.
Source that was in the White House back in November with Susie Wiles, the vice president, the president, and a bunch of others, when they presented.
So I think that's his show from earlier today.
Trisha Heaton looks great at 67.
Nope. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go through some of this stuff, and then I'll try to do a little video probably tomorrow or the next day about this stuff, because that's a lot of stuff to go through. But there was this video here. The stolen election was the end result of 4.5-year deep state operation to overthrow the president of the United States, along with the mainstream media's help gaslighting the American people for years. The Democrats were blindsided and had to cheat on top of cheating when the margins they anticipated they needed to beat Trump turned out to be hundreds of thousands of votes more than the original estimate because of Trump's massive lead. This is why counties were popping up with 120% voter turnouts. Yeah, I mean, don't you guys, we remember all that stuff. I yelled at my grandmother for voting for Biden. Some other people in the area told me it's rude to be yelling in a cemetery. Oh, yeah, right? Yeah. And then that was another thing too, like in Virginia, there were dead people on the voter rolls, and that was exposed and nothing was done about it. But hopefully now that it's got national attention, maybe we can get some help here in Virginia, and maybe they can look at that governor's race and actually go over and look at all the stuff. Because I'm going to tell you, there's no way Spanberger won. There's not. There was so much turnout. I mean, there was a lot of turnout. There wasn't as much turnout as it was for Trump, but there was still well, in my county at least, it's a very, very deep red county. There was way more people for the governor's race than for that were voting red than they were voting blue. And we had some people in 24 vote blue, vote for Democrats. And then those people turn around and voted for Winsome Sears. So, I mean, some people are weird, man. It's like they'll vote for a Democrat president, but then they vote for a Republican governor, or they'll vote for a Democrat governor, but then they vote for a Republican senator or a Republican congressman. And it's like, that's shit I will never understand why they do that. I really don't. I mean, maybe you guys in the chat could probably tell me why people do that, but that's one thing I've never understood is why people do that. But let's check this video out before I sign out.
To me, like it is.
This was a stolen election.
This looks to me like it is the end of what has been a 4.5, the end game to a 4.5 year long effort to overthrow the president of the United States. It looks like it's exactly that.
They knew they were going to need that room to make up for his margins. And here's where they got screwed up. The margins were much bigger than they anticipated. They were figuring they had to make up a couple 100,000 votes in Pennsylvania, maybe 100,000 in Michigan, maybe 80 or 90,000 in Wisconsin. Now they're looking at numbers like 800,000, 300,000, 400,000. They had to do plenty of cheating in the middle of the night in order to catch up. And that's why they kept the Republicans out. Dominion is a Canadian company, but all of its software is Smartmatic software. So we're using a foreign company. They were founded as a company to fix elections. What the heck was Georgia doing hiring this company? I'll tell you what they were doing. The lobbyist for Dominion was the former chief of staff for the governor. Why are we using a foreign company with connections to Venezuela? First of all, the machines can be hacked. There's no question about that. Their machines can be hacked, but it's far worse than that.
And by the way, the states, as you well know now, they have no ability to audit.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some people vote blue because they feel it will bring the collapse sooner. They know blue will bring Armageddon and anarchy. And then Verta says, voting person, not party. In the past, not so much now. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I've seen people do that, and it's never made sense to me why people do that. But I'm going to do a quick search and see if there's any more stuff on here. So we got CIA Director John Ratcliffe says declassified intelligence shows China sought to influence the 2020 election against Trump. Yeah, but didn't we see reports? And I covered it. You guys just seen it a little bit ago. The CIA was encouraging Trump to not do that press conference right here. They didn't want this to come out. They didn't want the fact that the CIA and the deep state had ties and they were influencing the mainstream media. They didn't want any of that come out, that they were working with China to overthrow the U.S. government. They didn't want that to come out. They were trying to influence and encourage Trump not to do this press conference tonight. So much to the fact that mainstream media outlets weren't covering it. I mean, that should tell you everything. I'm trying to see what that Benny Johnson guy. I mean, he's a hack, but some of those reports on here that I just seen, it was straight from the White House website. FBI opened a 2021 investigation into 8,000 to 10,000 alleged fraudulent voter registrations from the 2020 election in Michigan. So then my question is this, and you guys can put your opinions in the chat. If all this is coming out, okay, we see everything, all of it, and all this is proof that the 2020 election was stolen, it should have never happened. What happens? Does Trump get a third term? I mean, what are the outcomes of this? Like, what's going to happen next? Because I know what I want to see. I want to see the people that were involved. I want to see them in jail. That's just me. But my question is what happens on the election side? Is that all we see? What about, some of these people could still be sitting in office, right? Like some of these congressmen and some of these senators and governors, even if they benefited from this, does that mean that their election was null and void and they're no longer eligible for their seat? I mean, guys, think about it like this. This has the possibility to have a constitutional nightmare on our hands, to where if we see where current members of Congress and Senate and governors they actively benefited, even mayors. I mean, we've seen in California. If these people actively benefited from a proven fraudulent system, what happens? Do we have to hold all new elections and these people get out, and then we see how the country really feels if there really are Democrats all through? I think California is red. Further division, divide and conquer. This will not end. No. And that's what I'm saying. This is going to end very, very badly. And that's why I keep telling people every time I do videos, keep prepping and keep your head on a swivel, man. Especially these next few months. Because once all this starts hitting everything, and then you start seeing people online calling for current members of Congress, the mayors, governors, for them to resign because their seat was obtained fraudulently. Guys, there's going to be some big stuff happening. And that's my question, is what type of nightmare scenario are we in for? Because the ramifications from this stuff, it's going to get pretty dicey, boys. I'm telling you. All the more reason to be stacked. Stack your supplies to the rafters. Have freedom seeds and boomsticks. You know, if you know, you know. Because I'm just telling you, man, and I agree with Bushcraft, there is no way this ends peacefully. Especially if they have to start, a lot of these Democrats, they start to, there's people start calling for them to resign from their seats. I mean, you're going to start seeing, if we thought George Floyd stuff was bad, wait until this happens. And half or more of Congress and senators and these mayors, they're all out of their seats, and they have to hold all new elections with paper ballots, in person, voter ID, got to be a citizen to vote. Imagine the ramifications from that. But we need it, though. That's the thing. That it's like a double-edged sword. We need it. It's already going on. New York City, Dearborn, Michigan, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah. But imagine how much worse it's going to get. Like, what about New York, for example? Mom Donnie. There's no way, I mean, it's possible. Because New York, I mean, I think New York's a lost cause. I would say California would be red before New York would be red. That's just my opinion. Because you got a lot of part of of California. If you look at the maps, a lot of the area in California is like deep red. The only reason why California ever goes blue is because of Los Angeles, San Francisco, all those deep liberal areas. And that's what swings it. And then you got the fraud baked in on top of it. But, I mean, New York could be red. I mean, we've seen a lot of support for Trump in 2024 come out of New York. I mean, he did better in New York than when it was him versus Kamala. He did better with them two than Biden versus Trump. You see what I'm saying? Or than the Hillary versus Trump. It's like over the years, it was slowly getting red. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm trying to explain to you. I don't know if it comes off like makes sense, but New York was slowly starting to get red, but it still it swings Democrat every time. But I don't think anything good can come from this, except for the fact that we actually get honest, fair elections, and we can actually see just how red or blue the country actually is. Because I can tell you now, I don't think the country is as Democrat as it is right now. I don't see it, man. There's no way. Why would people want to pay higher taxes? Why would people want to pay taxes to have it go to illegals and all these foreign things and all this stuff and the fraud? Why would people want that? Why would people want to have it to where their neighborhoods are unsafe, defunding police? Like, nobody wants that stuff. Any logical person with common sense does not want that stuff. You know, and I guess we'll see. I guess we'll really see. But yeah, I agree. It's not going to end peacefully. We'll have safer elections out of it, but at what cost? But at the same time, it's like I said, we need it. We need it to happen. And I don't know how you guys feel, but that's how I feel. I feel like we need it to happen. I'm trying to see if that thing is on here. So as this says, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. I want to know if my voter file does China have my voter file? Does China have your voter file? That's something we need to think about. And if they do, what can we do about it? I mean, I know they're all the way across there, but I mean, if they used our data and our information, you would think that there's some type of big lawsuit or something that you can do. Sanction them. The government can sanction them. I mean, you can do something, right? I just know that we've been proven right, boys. FBI official wrote, this was 4 minutes ago. FBI official wrote in an email, they're running a shadow government. And now, don't you guys remember, this was back a couple years ago, there was this guy in Congress, it was either Congress or Senate. He had this like big whiteboard and this little presentation, and he was talking about how do we elect a shadow presidency and a shadow vice presidency, shadow Congress, shadow Senate. Like, they were wanting to have their own people and have a shadow government, and nothing was ever done about that. And now you got members of the FBI writing an email. They're running a shadow government to keep President Trump and the public from knowing about China's election meddling in 2020. Efforts like to manufacture illegal ballots for Joe Biden, but this information was kept out of his presidency daily briefs. Wow. But my thing is, what is going to happen about it? Those people that were in the FBI that did that, they need to immediately lose their badge, lose their job, lose everything, benefits, pensions, all of it. They need to be cut completely, cut them off completely. Tell them to go get a ticket in the unemployment line. If they were trusted to be a federal officer and then they go and do stuff like that, no. They don't need to be working with the FBI. Classified documents expose China's election interference. And see, and this all keeps coming back to China. All right. And this is what makes me think, is this why Trump went to China? Surely it wasn't for Iran, right? I mean, Iran could have had a piece of that, but is this the real reason why Trump went to China? To say, hey, look, Xi Jinping, we got you, bud. Is this why? I mean, it's kind of odd. About a month or so later, this comes out. It kind of makes you wonder. Another deranged dictator speech from Trump. No evidence was presented that votes were changed in 20. But my guy, are you not seeing what we've been seeing? There's 800 pages, and then there's this. I'll make this a little bigger so that way you guys can see it. So it says ahead of the 2020, it says sensitive government agency. Summary. Ahead of the 2020 presidential elections, China had extensive plans to utilize, I'm sorry, the words are kind of tiny here. Utilize potential, and then it's redacted, and cyber operations to sway public opinion against the Trump administration and international opinion against the U.S. government. Check my text. All right, hold on a minute. Yeah, I just checked it. You talking about the election integrity? Because I went to that. It's like 900 pages. I'm on X so I can see people like actually bring pieces out like this. So that way, because I don't want to have to sift through 8 to 900 pages on live. You know what I mean? But is that what you're talking about? All right, gotcha. The China plans were designed to exploit U.S. special or social fissures and vulnerabilities to influence U.S. and other audiences, by extension, U.S. government decision-making. The plans address several scenarios, including military conflict between the U.S. and China, as well as other potential crises. The blank operations themes covered a broad range of topics to exploit what China perceived to be U.S. fissures and vulnerabilities, including gun or GUN proliferation and immigration policies, inciting migrant community dissatisfaction with the U.S. government, instigating demonstrations against the U.S. government's alleged human rights violations against immigrants, inflaming resentment between anti-immigrant and pro-immigrant communities. So, yeah, I mean, guys, everything that we've been seeing over the last few years, it seems like it's all because of China. But then again, is this trying to make it seem like it's not real? You know, that place over there, it's not real. Is this to make it seem like they're innocent in all this? Because I can tell you, they're not innocent in this either. They're just as guilty. They're the ones that pay off and buy politicians just as much as China does. Okay? They're just as guilty. But this is crazy. But I can tell you, we'll never see the declassified documents of it's not real. And it's pretty sad. I can say China on a live stream, but I can't say it's not real. We will work on hard copies of the files and go through them for future reporting. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is pretty much, this stuff here says that China had a hand in dividing Americans against each other. China had a hand in alleging that white people hate black people. I mean, inciting all this stuff. You know what I mean? And there's, I mean, it's just alleged U.S. war positions, international propaganda, women's rights, which you guys know what the women's rights thing is. It's like the classic divide and conquer. They were dividing our country, and they were doing it pretty good. I mean, there were people that I've known for years, and they, for some reason, started voting Democrat. Okay. And it's just weird. It's like back when I was younger, when I first started voting, this was probably 10. Oh no, this is longer than that. It's been, I would say back when I was like 17, 18, 19 years old. All right. You could tell people who you voted for and it didn't matter. Nobody actually looked at you as, oh, you're a piece of crap for voting like that. You know what I mean? But if you've noticed over the years, if you tell people you voted for Trump or whatever, it's like, you know, and everybody's like pinned against you. And like, this stuff has split families up. There's families that didn't do Thanksgiving or Christmas because of who they voted for. And it's like, I remember a time in this country, it never used to be like that. It never was. It's all of the socialist, Marxist, communists working together toward their common goal. Right. Yep. But it's like, it never used to be that way. And now you see these documents, but I want to see what I want them to declassify the documents of what kind of influence It's Not Real has. That would be cool to see too. Just saying. But pinning white people against black people, the whole women's rights, the transgender stuff, all of it. They actually initiated all that to pin everybody against each other. And then you got the Red-Green Alliance and all that, where you got the Democrat Socialists teaming up with the Muslim communities to divide and conquer. So, I mean, we're getting hit from all fronts. You know, you're getting hit from it's Hate America crowd, Red-Green Axis. Yeah, that's what I was just saying, man. Yep, the Red-Green Alliance. You got the communist socialists. They're working with the radical Muslims to try to, you know, destroy the country. Then on top of it, you got China working in the background to do this stuff. You got It's Not Real working in the background, paying off politicians, doing assassinations. I mean, our country's been under attack. It's like Bushcraft said, our country has been under attack for decades, man. They're following the classic handbook for communism. It's all in there like a 12-step program. Yep. Yep. Color revolution. Yep. But it's crazy that all this is coming out. But I'm glad it is coming out. And then you got CBS. They didn't even cover it. And they're saying, oh, President Trump's focused on election security as he continues to insist falsely that the 2020. And now they're trying to push this narrative that it was. So does that mean that just because I covered this, am I going to get shadow banned again, YouTube? Am I going to get shadow banned again just because I covered Trump's press conference? I mean, I hope not. Because all I did was cover the truth about another country and what they've done. And I got an upload restriction for 3 months. We all have the manuals. Yeah, I've actually got the, hold on a minute. So I've got, and I haven't had a chance to do a video on this yet, but one of their playbooks is the Muslim Brotherhood and their plan for America. Can you guys see that? The audio is off. What do you mean the audio is off? Hold on a minute. Well, I just looked at my interface. I checked my stream health. Everything says it's working. Never mind. Yeah, I was going to say, my audio is working. It's propaganda. Obama overturned the Smith-Mundt Act, allowing use of propaganda on the U.S. Yep. And see, now's another thing, too. Trump was saying they wanted to reinstitute the Smith-Mundt Act to make it illegal to propagandize the American people. But then we seen Congress And that was one of the videos that I did back months ago, how Congress sent funding to the CIA for propaganda in America, along with the other transgender stuff, the children stuff, all that stuff. Republicans approved funding for that stuff. So why are tax dollars going for us to be propagandized? And that was a question that I had brought up. And that video, that was one of the videos that got flagged. It's still up, but it's got like a flag on it. And it's just, it's crazy, man. But I'm going to dig through this stuff some more. I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the evening. It's already 10:30 where I'm at. I don't know where you guys are watching from. I know where Vertus is watching from, but the other 3 people that are in here, I don't know where you guys are watching from, but it's 10:30 on where I'm at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off, do a little bit more research into this. I may go live again. Then again, I might just do a little short video here and there like I did, and then go live again next week. New Hampshire. So yeah, we're all pretty much on the East Coast. Cool deal, man. All right, well, until next time, stay safe. God bless. Keep on prepping. Keep your head on a swivel, Patriots. Patriot Independence out.